Welcome to BitBoy My name is AJ and this is the price prediction department. This video has been coming for a while and I'm very excited to get into it. Right now, we're not going to look at one, but two coins that are leaders of the storage coins, Filecoin and Arweave. Let's get it. Storage coins play a crucial role in the future of Web3, and here's why. More traditional cloud services, they pose threats to your privacy, censorship, security, and alternatively, decentralized storage eliminates these problems, which is why I would personally never store my own data on a centralized server. So if data is the new gold, what does that make storage valuable? All that data has to go somewhere, right? With the rise of Web3, obviously decentralized storage capacity has increased exponentially. In fact, Fortune Business Insights projects that the market size of data storage will be in the ballpark of $778 billion by 2030. I personally think it could even be more than that. This could easily be a $1 trillion industry. But my question is, what percentage of that market share will be in decentralized storage? So what do coins like Filecoin and Arweave even do? The surface level idea of both of these coins is very simple. If you need a place to store your data, you pay them to store it for you. On the flip side, if you have unused space on your hard drives, you could rent it out to them and get compensated for it. The best thing about the utility of data storage is how many different industries can use it. According to this Filecoin chart, they have technology, natural resources, healthcare, social services, infrastructure. And really, it's a win-win for everyone, especially when it's decentralized. Well, how is it decentralized? So when you get thousands and thousands of people all over the world renting out their hard drive space, it creates a massive web of computers that decentralizes the information. And in my opinion, this is a much better alternative to a centralized cloud, which has one single point of failure. So you might be thinking, AJ, this sounds great and all, but how much more does it cost to use a decentralized server compared to like Google or Amazon? On your screen, you will see a chart of the prices, and as you can see, it's actually much cheaper to use decentralized storage. You'll also notice that if you're just paying for 1 month, Filecoin is definitely the way to go. But if you intend to store your data for a long period of time or even permanently, Arweave is definitely the way to go. With Filecoin, you pay once a month. With Arweave, you pay a one-time fee and that's it. So sure, Arweave's one-time payment is going to cost a little bit more money, but as you can see here, over time, it's going to save you money. So it's really up to your personal preference and how long you want to store your data. So which one is better, Filecoin or Arweave? Well, they're both good for different reasons. Filecoin, for instance, offers more storage space than any decentralized coin right now. Filecoin storage capacity is 22.9 exabytes, and 1 exabyte is 1.15 billion gigabytes. Think about how big of an iPod that is. To be fair, so far they have only used about 5% of their capacity. Digging further into Filecoin, it's important to point out that Filecoin describes itself as a decentralized storage network designed to store humanity's most important information. And this is why Filecoin is built on top of the IPFS, or the Interplanetary File System. The purpose of the IPFS is to replace the server protocols that power the World Wide Web. The IPFS relies on centralized nodes rather than centralized servers, and this is why the goal is to one day get the internet outside of our planet, because we will not need to refer back to centralized servers on Earth, hence the name interplanetary. If I was doing a video just on Filecoin, I would dive very far into this, but there is a lot to the IPFS. And to be fair, they are also working on a remarkable scaling solution called the IPC, or the Interplanetary Consensus, and definitely look into it on your own time. And with all that said, that's how I can explain the real difference between Filecoin and Arweave. So yes, the two of them are storage coins, but they both have different consensus mechanisms. They have different structures of blockchain. Arweave's structure is very interesting, but on the surface, Filecoin is focused on getting the internet as we know it outside of the planet. Filecoin wants to be interplanetary. Arweave, on the other hand, is focused on permanence. If you store something on Arweave now, it will be there for at least 200 years, but Arweave's goal is for it to be there forever, permanence. So the two coins are pretty similar in price. Hello? Dude, Gary, thank you. Wait, thank you for what? Thank you for nothing. And thank you to Stake for sponsoring this video. So as you can see on this chart here, Filecoin is pretty far ahead of its peers, but it's its tokenomics where things start to get a little fuzzy. And as you will see a little later in the video, Arweave has Filecoin crushed in tokenomics. But to be fair, Filecoin has a much larger market cap and they offer more storage space. I'm not going to get into every backer for each coin, but they are both backed by A16Z or Andreessen Horowitz. A16Z helps Filecoin a little bit more than they help Arweave, as Filecoin's ICO is one of the largest in history. And I'm pretty sure they're building a crypto startup school together too. You know, so it's obvious Filecoin has a larger market cap. They had more backing coming into their ICO and they have that advantage. But on the flip side, Arweave was also backed by Andreessen Horowitz, but not to the extent Filecoin was. They were also backed by Coinbase Ventures. But also keep in mind, Arweave sits just outside of the top 100. And how do they sustain their project? Remember when I said Filecoin, you know, they get a monthly fee from you. With Arweave, you only pay one fee one time. So Arweave's solution to staying above water is a sustainable endowment. And a lot of the storage fees that they get from that one-time payment goes into the endowment and gains interest. And consequently, Arweave pays those future storage costs from the money generated through interest from the endowment. And in terms of partnerships, just to mention a couple, Filecoin is partnered with Harvard University to use decentralized tech to protect important information. And Filecoin has also worked with Microsoft to build Ion, which is a decentralized identity service. On the Arweave side, Arweave is partnered with Solana, AVAX, DOT, Cosmos, Near, and the big one, late last year, it came out that Meta was partnering with Arweave to permanently store digital collectibles on Instagram. And this news was very big for Arweave and the community. I'm pretty sure they had like a 60% pump off the back of this news, and rightfully so. And as you can see on your screen here, Arweave has a massive ecosystem and there's a lot to it. But since I'm doing two coins in one video, I don't have time to get into everything about both coins. Just like how Filecoin has the interplanetary file system, Arweave has the permaweb. And like I said, Arweave's whole goal is about permanence, you know, something being stored there forever. Another partnership that Arweave has is with Internet Archive. You might know them from the people who created the Wayback Machine. And this is why I like Arweave so much and why being censorship resistant is such a big deal. Arweave and Internet Archive are doing just that. They are archiving the entire internet. So say, you know, like some government wants something covered up that happened 30 years ago, and they can go scrub that from the internet and erase all history of it. And this would stop that from happening, because when you archive the internet, you build a verifiable history. And that's why I find this partnership so interesting, because one, it's anti-censorship, and two, history will be preserved the way it was intended to be. So let's keep it moving here and get into tokenomics and price predictions. The equation for price predictions is price equals market cap divided by circulating supply. So my job is to figure out what the supply is estimated to be by the time we get to the top of the next bull run, which is projected for November of 2025, and to figure out what the market cap could be to give us the price. Filecoin put in its all-time high April 1st of 2021 at $232. At the time, its market cap was $11.94 billion, and its supply was 64.27 million, which is why the price was able to go that high. Now, it's a much different story, and Filecoin is priced at $4.15, and that's 98.2% down from its previous all-time high. Filecoin's current market cap is 1.81 billion, and to be fair, it is still ranked 30th by market cap. And this is where I start to get a little worried about Filecoin, because its supply right now is a little over 440 million, which is 582% higher than before. And the worst part of all of this is that Filecoin is only 22.4% vested, which means that over 77% of the supply is not in circulation yet. Filecoin's max supply is 2 billion. Well, not really. It's actually 1.96 billion, and that's because there's burn mechanisms from gas fees and penalties and things like that. And Filecoin's max supply might not even go that high. On your screen here is the original Filecoin allocation. And on the top right, do you see that 15% mining reserve? Those 300 million tokens might not ever enter the supply. It would actually require a protocol update from the community for those coins to even be tapped into, and really, it's up to the community. And I really hope that they don't tap into that supply, because the problem that Filecoin is going to have is that its market cap is going to be chasing its supply for a very long time. For example, if you took Filecoin's all-time high market cap and put that with its supply just right now, that once $232 Filecoin would now only be a $27.2 Filecoin. And the problem is the supply is going to continue to grow from here. Filecoin's tokenomics are very complicated. And in the description, I will link this blog that is very interesting and has all the details, but right now I'm going to give you the abbreviated version. The long story short with Filecoin tokenomics is that they have sources and sinks, otherwise known as inflows and outflows. And like I said earlier, Filecoin does have some deflationary measures to take into consideration because they burn gas fees, or if a miner's stake gets slashed, penalties, stuff like that. And for a coin that's only 22% vested, it is great that they're burning, but it does not compare to the coins that are coming in, the inflows. Filecoin has two types of mining. There's simple and baseline, and 70% of Filecoin's mining comes from baseline mining. And the process will take about 20 years for new coins to stop coming into the supply. And remember what I said, there's 440 million coins in the supply right now. But according to this chart by Masari, we're roughly looking at a circulating supply of 550 million by November of 2025, which is a 25.3% gain to the supply now. So back to my point, Filecoin's market cap will be chasing its supply, and it still has a very long way to go. Using the dominance idea that I've implemented in previous videos, I was able to do a dominance estimation for Filecoin. And if you don't know, the dominance idea is based off of the total crypto market cap was to go to $7 to $10 trillion. And for the lower end of that range, if Filecoin reached a previous dominance level, it would have about a $24 billion market cap. And when you pair that with the heightened supply of 550 million, you're looking at roughly a $44 Filecoin on the lower end of that spectrum. If the total market cap went to $10 trillion and Filecoin went back to a previous dominance level, it would be about a $40 billion market cap, which is about a $72 Filecoin. And that's about a 17x from right here. I like using the dominance idea as a gauge to see where things could end up, but personally, I do not think that Filecoin's market cap is going to get to, say, $40 billion. Personally, I think it's going to land somewhere between 20 and 30, which is still a very large jump from where it is today. So if Filecoin's market cap went to $20 billion with the heightened supply in mind, you'd be looking at about a $36.30 Filecoin, which is about an 807% gain from right now. Still not bad. And if Filecoin went to a $30 billion market cap with the heightened supply in mind, you'd be looking at just under a $55 Filecoin, which is a 13x from its prices right now. Keep in mind, at the time of filming this video, Filecoin is only $4.15. And I don't think I totally went to the moon on this Filecoin price prediction, but still, thinking somewhere between a $36 and $55 Filecoin is still quite the jump from where we are right now. Now let's get into the Arweave price prediction. Arweave put in its all-time high November 4th, 2021 at $90. At the time, its market cap was just over $4 billion with a circulating supply of 33.39 million. Right now, Arweave is ranked 109th by market cap with a price point of $5.09. Right now, its market cap is right around 333 million with a circulating supply of 65.4 million. And as you can see, the two supplies, its current supply just about doubled its previous supply. But here's the good news. Arweave is 99.1% vested. So while Filecoin still has like 77% of its supply still to come into circulation, Arweave has less than 1% yet to come into circulation. So sure, Filecoin has a much bigger market cap than Arweave, but Arweave has much better tokenomics than Filecoin, and this plays a big role moving forward. So Arweave's max supply is 66 million coins. 55 million of that was created at the Genesis block, and the rest were gradually released over time. Since the Genesis block was back in 2018, we are basically there with less than 1% of the supply remaining to go into circulation. And once Arweave does get to 66 million coins, it will be sort of deflationary. I say that because the fees that go to that endowment I told you about are locked and later released for minor incentives. I'm not really sure how much of a role that will play moving forward, but either way, Arweave's tokenomics situation is much better than Filecoin's. To be fair, like I said, Arweave's circulating supply has about doubled from its previous all-time high, so it has some work to do to get back to that $90 all-time high. So Arweave's market cap does have to play some catch up to get back to that price point. In fact, its market cap would need to be around $5.9 billion for it to get to $90, which is a 16x from right now. And if Arweave's market cap was able to go to $10 billion, we would be looking at a $153 Arweave, which is a 28x from right now. And with that being said, my Arweave price prediction for the top of the next bull run is $90 to $153. Remember, my Filecoin price prediction is $36 to $55. And it's kind of funny because right now, those two coins are relatively close in price, with Arweave being a little over $5 and Filecoin being $4.15. But this is a perfect example about why tokenomics matter so much and why you need to be well versed and well researched in tokenomics before you even think about buying a coin. Look at this example given the tokenomics. If Filecoin put in a $30 billion market cap and Arweave only put in a $10 billion market cap, Arweave would be worth $153 and Filecoin would be worth $55. Which one are you gonna buy? So when it's all said and done and the dust settles, Filecoin will likely have a much larger market cap, but Arweave will likely have a much larger price. Act accordingly. So there you go. There's my price prediction for Filecoin and Arweave. Was I too bearish? Was I too bullish? Let me know down below in the comments. Until next time, my name is AJWritesCrypto and have yourself a great rest of your weekend.